February 19th, 1945. You're not watching this from a couch. You're on the black sands of Iwo Jima. The ground itself is alive, hot, shifting, sulfur choking your lungs like the island is exhaling pure hell. Machine gun fire rattles from nowhere. Mortar walk across the beach in perfect lines. And strapped to your back is 70 pounds of liquid death. One wrong move. One Japanese sniper who's been waiting weeks in the dark. That's it. The average life expectancy of a marine flamethrower operator on this island for minutes. 4 minutes. That wasn't a guess. That was Marine Corps' math. Out of nearly 400 men who carried the M2 into this meat grinder, only 18 walked off alive. The rest became statistics in 4-minute increments. This is their story, not the glory, the reality. Let's talk about the weapon that made them targets before they even left the ship. The M2 Flamethrower. It looked simple enough on paper to fat tanks of thickened gasoline, napalm pressurized by nitrogen. A nozzle that spat fire up to 40 yards when everything worked. But on Iwo Jima it weighed 70 pounds when full. 70 pounds of high explosive jelly riding right between your shoulder blades. You couldn't run, you couldn't duck fast. Every Japanese gunner on that island knew exactly what the man carrying those tanks meant. One tracer round in the wrong spot and you didn't just die, you became a human Roman candle, screaming across the sand while your own fuel cooked you alive. And the fuel didn't last long. 7 seconds, that's it. 7 seconds of roaring, white-hot flame before the tanks ran dry. 7 seconds to do a job that could take minutes. So every burst had 2 count, every single one. You carried 5 ignition cartridges, little flares that lit the stream. Miss one and you just sprayed raw napalm that wouldn't catch. The smell alone could make a man gag, burning fuel mixed with sulfur from the volcano beneath your boots, the copper tang of blood, and the sickening sweet char of human flesh. These weren't soldiers with a cool toy. These were walking bombs sent to do the one thing artillery and bombs couldn't. Because the enemy on Iwo Jima wasn't on the surface. General Tadamichi Kuribayashi had turned an 8-square-mile rock into the most sophisticated underground fortress the Pacific had ever seen. 11 miles of tunnels, interconnected pillboxes. Reinforced concrete bunkers buried so deep that naval shells and B-29 bombs bounced off like pebbles. The Japanese didn't plan to die in bonsai charges here. They planned to live underground, wait until the Marines were on top of them, and then cut them down. Conventional weapons failed. High explosives sealed entrances but left men alive deeper inside, ready to crawl out and fight again. Only fire could reach them, fire that could snake through air vents, suck the oxygen from the tunnels, and turn reinforced concrete into an oven. That's why the flamethrower teams existed. The tactic had a name that sounded almost clinical in the after-action reports: Blowtorch and Corkscrew. The blowtorch was you. You crawled forward under covering fire, heart hammering against those 70-pound tanks. Your squadmates laid down suppressive fire, but the Japanese knew the sound. That unmistakable roar, when it started, every gun on the line swung toward the flame. You got close, dangerously close, 20 yards, 10, sometimes 5. You jammed the nozzle into a firing slit or an air vent and pulled the trigger. The flame didn't just burn, it consumed. It ate oxygen so fast that men inside suffocated before the fire even touched them. Their screams echoed through the tunnels, not from pain at first, but from the sudden vacuum pulling the air from their lungs. Then the heat hit. Concrete glowed red. Ammunition cooked off, bodies turned to ash. And while the enemy inside died, your demolition team, the Corkscrew, moved in behind you. They packed satchel charges, sealed the entrance, and collapsed the tunnel forever. It worked. God, it worked, but the price. Then there was one man who turned that nightmare into legend. His name was Hershel Woody Williams. 5'6", a dairy farmer's son from Quietdale, West Virginia. He looked like the kind of guy who should have been back home milking cows, not carrying death across black sand. But on February 23, 1945, For days into the battle, Woody volunteered for the worst job on the island. His company was pinned down in front of a network of pillboxes that had already killed dozens. Machine guns raked the ground, mortar walked the line. The only way forward was through. Woody strapped on the 70-pound tank, picked for riflemen for cover, and started crawling. The first pillbox was 50 yards away. Every inch was hell. Black sand clogged his mouth. Sulfur burned his eyes. Japanese bullets snapped past his head so close they parted his hair. His riflemen dropped one by one, to dead within minutes. Still Woody crawled. He reached the first emplacement. Instead of firing from outside, he did something insane. He stood up, ran straight at it, and shoved the nozzle right into the firing slit. 7 seconds of flame roared inside. The screams that came out weren't human anymore. Then he turned around, walked back through the killing field, and got a fresh tank. 4 hours, 7 pillboxes, 6 different flamethrowers. At one point, he climbed straight onto the roof of a bunker while bullets sparked off the concrete around his boots. He found an air vent, jammed the nozzle down, and cooked everyone inside. Another time, Japanese soldiers charged him with bayonets. Woody simply turned and let the flame wash over them, a living wall of fire that left nothing but charred silhouettes. He never stopped, never asked for relief. When his tanks ran dry, he ran back, rearmed, and went again. Covered only by the 2 surviving riflemen, he kept going until the entire strong point was silent. For that 4-hour rampage, Corporal Hershel Woody Williams received the Medal of Honor. He would later say the life expectancy of a flamethrower man was about 5 minutes. He beat the odds by a factor no one could calculate. By the time the island was declared secure on March 26th, the flamethrower teams had changed the calculus of the Pacific War. They cleared tunnels that never should have been clearable. They opened the path for the flag to rise on Mount Kuribayashi. They paid for every yard of that volcanic rock with their own 4-minute lifetimes. We will never know all their names, the ones who lasted 30 seconds. The ones who lasted 3 minutes and 59 seconds. The ones who crawled forward anyway, knowing the odds. But we know what they did. They walked into hell carrying fire on their backs so the rest of us wouldn't have to. If these untold, gritty stories from the darkest days of history move you, if you want to honor the men who carried burdens most of us can't imagine, then hit that subscribe button right now. Join the Echoes of War family, turn on notifications. Because next week we're going even deeper. These stories deserve to be remembered, these men deserve to be heard.